Recently, Joe Rogan had Wes Huff on his podcast, and they were talking about something that I think is very important. Many times I have conversations with atheists, and they talk about the idea that human beings are basically part of the animal kingdom. We're just a better version of chimps in the sense that we're a little bit more evolved. So we're just a little bit smarter than them. If you compare dolphins that are very smart and use echolocation, or even some chimps that can do sign language, and all these other animals that can do these really fascinating things, and they seem very intelligent, and you compare them to even a 5-year-old that is able to learn multiple languages, played classical piano, able to create art pieces and different things like that, and interact with this world, animals fail in comparison. There's something significant about human beings. There's something different about us and what we possess and who we are. And so they kind of talk about the reason. Why is that? Why are we different than the rest of the animals? So in this clip, you're going to see Joe Rogan ask the question, and then Wes Huff respond, especially in the ancient Near East, and why the biblical narrative is very different than all the others. Many people will say that the biblical author, as we believe, is Moses, who wrote the Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books of the Bible. You'll see that there's some very good distinctions than what the rest of the people believe is how the origins happen. It's how earth and life got started in the first place. I just love that it's Joe Rogan, who is not a Christian, who used to have a hard stance against Christianity, is noticing that we are different than animals, is noticing that there is something else going on, and how do we explain it? So let's go ahead and watch the clip.
The search for our origins is one of the most human endeavors, one of the most, because to know that we are particularly unique. We're so different. We stand out from every other animal on this planet. And there's this crazy, wild war of biology where life is just eating life all around us. And we just got to some crazy place that far beyond any other creature that's on this planet.
Yeah.
And we did it in a bunch of different ways. We did it in a bunch of different ways all over the place with different scribbles and different icons and different gods and different things. What was the origin of all this? Like, what was the need to write these things down? What purpose did it serve to have these myths and legends and stories? Like, was it just to keep society together, or was it to retell a very important story that was a very unique thing that happened at the dawn of time?
And that's why you see, I mean, the literary comparison of ancient Near Eastern origin stories is like a really interesting thing to do, because when you look at something like the Enuma Elish, which was the Babylonian creation story, and then you look at something like Genesis chapter 1, there are obvious crossovers with, like I said before, these ancient Near Eastern conventions. But then you can see that the author of Genesis is making these points that are actually rebutting something like the origin stories of the surrounding cultures that largely believe that matter is like eternal and the gods come out of the created world, and that there's this narrative of the battle that takes place where some gods fight against other gods, and the world around us that we see and like human beings are the end result of this battle. And so they would read this on every Babylonian New Year, and one of the main themes was basically that like it's all chance. It's all a random mistake. You were created without purpose and intention because Tiamat gets destroyed, and she's the god that you come from. And then you read Genesis chapter 1, and it says, in the beginning God creates the heavens and the earth, and he makes it good. And there's this idea that like that's countercultural in the idea that the Babylonians did not think that the world was good. And that like at the end of every refrain, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good, and then it's very good at the end. And that humanity in particular is created in the image of God. Like that's a very, not just like kings, which a lot of ancient Near Eastern cultures believed that kings were created in the image of God, but that humanity in general is created in the image of God. And this idea of the Imago Dei, that that's why you're different. Like, why are you different from all the animals?
Right.
Because you're given something that exemplifies of a unique quality. And then the ancient Near Eastern cultures that believe that, the planets are gods and that the sea is a god. And then at Genesis chapter 1 looks at that, and it kind of subverts the expectations of the day in getting to this ultimate question of why are we here? what are we supposed to do while we're here, and how do we get out of here? And it says that no, there's purpose, there's meaning, there's intention. And actually, a lot of the things that you worship, it's pretty stupid because God created them.
Joe Rogan asks, why are we different? What is different about us? And it seems like he just gives Wes Huff a layup. The reason we're different is because we were created in the image of God. We're different, and it specifically says in Genesis 1 and 2 why we're different. Because God created us. He breathed his life into us. He called us to love, to multiply, to watch out for, and to take care of the animals and the plants and the world around us. This is his purpose that he gave us, to know him, but also to do these things. And we see that there's not an animal that we can't tame. As humans, we're not the strongest. We're not the biggest. We're not the fastest. We're not all these different things, but we have the capability to tame and protect and love the world around us. But I want to give a few other ways that humans are superior to our animal counterparts. So I wrote a long list, so I'm not going to read it in depth, but our cognitive abilities, advanced abstract thinking, complex language, self-awareness, imagination, problem solving, social and emotional development, complex social structures, empathy and morality, long-term relationships, teaching and learning. There's a lot of these that animals and other animals can do, but the way that we do it and the advance and the way that we unfortunately can take these things and make them bad is something that's distinct about human beings as well. Our communication, our meta communication, physical differences, cultural and technological advances, the tools and innovations that we use. You look at technology, you look at AI, you look at the buildings, you look at the structure, you look at all the stuff that we do and we create and we build, even with going as small as like Legos and playing with blocks, all the way to the other advancements. That's something very different and distinct for humans. Religion and philosophy, science and mathematics, extended lifespan, medical advances, written records, intergenerational learning, rituals and traditions, burial practices, complex emotions, especially if you watch Inside Out and Inside Out 2. If you compare us, even the younger version of us, like children, they fell in comparison. There's something different about the human species. There's something different about us. And it could be chance. Most likely it's not, because we were made in God's image and we do abuse it. We do often abuse it. We do often take advantage of these abilities and skills and make them into bad things. We make pharmaceuticals, we make chemicals that are in the food, we mess up the planet, we don't take care of it, we create social structures that bring people into bondage and slavery or even bullying. But nonetheless, we are created with purpose, and we're supposed to love our environment. We're supposed to take care of the animals. We're supposed to take care of each other, and we do a terrible job. But it's through Jesus that we are called back to love our neighbor as he loves us. And it's through Jesus that we are forgiven and we can make a change. So as always, if you have any questions or comments, put it in the chat box. Send me a message. Make sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate that. That helps other people to see more of my videos so that we can help introduce them to the true Jesus. And until next time, peace.